Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about my August TBR, which is pretty frightening that we are already going into August. Like, I have honestly no idea where most of this year went. And also, talking about the August TBR, we need to talk about the TBR failures that both June and July have been for me. So I feel like August is a month with no readathons. In the past, this has been Magical Readathon month, but now that is in September. So that will give me the chance in August to try to catch up on some of the things that I didn't do in June and July, hopefully. Now, I'm still going through a little bit of a life crisis. Like, it's not very dramatic, but it is in a way. So there is still like so much going on in my brain that I just can't make any promises how many books I will actually get read. But at least in this video, I want to talk you through the general plan, and then we'll just have to see whether it is feasible for me at this moment in my life. Now, before we go into the August TBR, I want to do a very quick wrap up of my July TBR, just so you know how that went. And that will also explain some of the choices in August. So for my July TBR, I was actually very reasonable, and I had put only 4 books on the TBR. And that was already kind of a lie because I also had like 1 book left over from June. So it was technically 5, but you know, whatever. In theory, it was a very manageable stack. However, because of the readathon that my friend Clio hosted, the game night-a-thon, I didn't really have like a ton of choice with like the prompts I got and the books that fit. And then also, instead of reading the series I had on my reading goals, I reread the whole Hunger Games series. So we can discuss how smart that was, but honestly, deep in my bones, I feel like if I hadn't read that series, I wouldn't have read at all. Because like the rereading was where my head was at, and it was also a buddy read with my friend Xenia from the channel Xenia and the Books. And so it definitely motivated me to read in a time when reading just felt like a lot of work for my brain. So I'm not really here to judge myself, I'm just here to explain a little bit why maybe all of those promises I made in the July TBR didn't come true. So as things stand right now, out of the 4 books that were officially on the July TBR, I have finished one of them. That was my audiobook, The Dungeon Anarchist's Cookbook, and I did a whole reading vlog for the first 3 Dungeon Crawler Crawl books, which was very fun. And then I have started one of the books, but I have yet to finish it, and that is the Great Italian Stories one, because it is like Italian text and English text, and I do want to try to at least, you know, attempt to read the Italian text. So again, it's a lot of work for my brain, and it just takes a while. But my hope is, because I still have 3 days technically, that I can finish that one in July, or maybe like at the beginning of August. That would be very great. So that means that the 2 other books on the TBR did not even get started. So I am right now very far behind on some of my reading goals, and that is why in August I would really like to catch up a little bit. So if you're joining my channel just now, maybe a quick update on where my reading goals come from. Last year I did kind of a 0 TBR project where I read all of the books that I had owned before 2025. And so my main goal for this year was to read all the books that I have owned before 2026. And I give myself a 12-month time frame for that. And right now I'm doing okay. The Italian Stories one is the only one that is coming up soon on this 12-month limit. And then I also have a list of series I wanted to read this year and new to me authors I wanted to read this year. And with this series, I have not been doing really great. So let's start out with my official TBR list for August, and I have 6 books on this list. 4 of those I want to prioritize more, and then the other 2 are ones ones that I just really want to read right now for two different reasons. So let's start out with the ones that are from my reading goals and have really high priority for me. The first one would be The Justice of Kings. So this is the first book in one of the series I wanted to read this year. And I just managed to get the ebook for this for very, very cheap. So I have no excuse. I definitely want to start this series. I think this is more of like a dark fantasy. It follows this character who is kind of like judge and executioner and also like the person who investigates stuff. So we'll see how I like it. I have like friends who really enjoyed it and then others who weren't like the biggest fans maybe. So I'm just really intrigued to see where I will land with this series, and I just really think the setup sounds very fascinating to me. And then for the other series reading that I hope to do, I want to start the Her Majesty's Royal Coven series by reading the first book, Her Majesty's Royal Coven, as well as the second book, The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. Now, those I want to listen to on audiobook, and I already got the third book and the novella, the prequel novella, in sales. So I feel like, you know, I can combine reading this series with getting some books off my TBR as well, but I would have to still get the first two books. So yeah, right now, you know, it's this war inside of me of like reading books that I have on the TBR and reading books that I said I wanted to read this year. And yeah, hopefully this one will work out. The first audiobook isn't that long. The second one does get quite a bit longer, so we'll see about that. But I also have to be honest that right now I feel a little bit fantasied out, and I am currently listening to an audiobook that I probably just shouldn't have started right now. I did it for the readathon I'm participating in July, but it's really like it doesn't feel like it's the right time to read this book, and I should have read anything else because yeah, the fantasy has been fantasying hard this year, and usually in the summer I do like to pick up some other genres like thrillers or horror, or maybe even something more literary with, I don't know, cannibalism or something, just something that is not fantasy. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit scared that I will ruin the series just because I feel like I'm so burned out on fantasy right now. So that's why I put another audiobook on this list that will be the first one I want to listen to in August, and that is Strong Female Character. This is a memoir, and I didn't know this, but the author of this is actually a comedian, and that made it so much more interesting to me. And this author is also autistic, so it's about her experience with, I think she's also being late diagnosed autistic. So yeah, I'm really excited to listen to this memoir right now, and it's like my newest addition to my wish list, but also I don't want to forget about it again. So I think this will be the next audiobook I pick up just to get a little bit of a break in the fantasy of it all. Then, talking about autism, I have another book that I want to read. And this one is from my physical TBR. So right now, with like all the books that I have already started or that I mentioned on previous TBRs and didn't get around to, I currently still have 5 books that I owned before 2026 on my physical TBR. And that means that if I just pick one per month, then that would work out perfectly for, you know, finishing all of these books before the year's over. And since all of these books were also Christmas gifts, I do have the time to spread it out like that. And so the next book I want to pick up in August from my physical TBR and my Christmas gifts is Unmasking Autism by Dr. Devon Price. And I'm very excited to dive into this one. It's a nonfiction book about autism. And this is just a topic that I have been really interested in currently. And so I definitely want to learn more. I feel like I have watched so much YouTube about autism now that the algorithm is even like not recommending me anymore. It's like, okay, I think you've done enough. So we're going to the books and I want to read this one. And the last book for my official August TBR will be We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad. Now, I am already currently reading this. I am about a quarter of the way in, and I decided to read this because I really loved Bunny, and Bunny is one of the books I read for authors I wanted to try this year. So I did a whole vlog. I filmed it, but I haven't edited and uploaded it because I enjoyed Bunny, so I was like, hey, what if I also read the sequel and also put it in that vlog? So now I need to actually read the sequel, and it has been like very slow going, and I just need the motivation to read it now. I already had to like recheck it out from the library because I didn't read it in like the first time that I had it. So now I have it checked out again. And yeah, I hope this will be the first book I pick up and finish in August. So talking about picking things up and finishing things in August, I do have two books from previous TBRs that I just wanted to quickly mention again because I still haven't finished them. And the first one of those is the 100 Years War on Palestine. I had to put this aside for a while just because my mental health was so bad that I couldn't really take this book in anymore. I am about halfway through, so I hope to finish the second half of this in August to finally completely, tick it off of my list. And this is a book that I did really enjoy, but it's also a ton of information. And I feel like if your head isn't in it, then you just read the words, but you don't take the information in. And that's just not what I want to do. So I hope that in August I will regain enough brain space to read this book finally. And then the other one that was already on the June TBR, but did not get read. I haven't even started it yet, even though it's a 5-star prediction and it really pains me. And that is Asunder by Kirsten Hall. So this is another fantasy book. I have so much fantasy to read. But yeah, I am still really, really excited about this one. So I hope that maybe if I get through, the books that I just mentioned for the August TBR, I still will have some time to also read this one because yeah, I just really, really want to. And again, I have like kind of a reading vlog where this is the last book I want to read for that. So I want to be able to finish that off very soon. So I think that is enough of reading plans to fill up my August. If there's more room, I have more books to catch up on that I mentioned in previous TBRs but didn't actually read. So I don't think I will run out of reading material anytime soon. I hope you had fun watching this video. If you want, you can let me know in the comments what is the one book or the 2 or 3 that you're most looking forward to reading in August. I hope you have something exciting planned for yourself, and I thank you so much for watching. If you want, you can leave a like, that makes me very happy, and I'll talk to you very soon, hopefully telling you about how I have read all of these books.